I'm going all in. Get him flew out, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in your toes. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in, let's go.
What's going on, everybody? This is Dane from NyynewsTV. This is the Heat Sheet Podcast. This is the first episode we're doing on YouTube. This is my co-host, Carlos. Carlos, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing, Dane?
Great. I just wanted to thank Pete for this opportunity to have us on the big channel. Getting exposure for prospects is something I've been dreaming about doing for a long time, and I just want to thank him for giving me that shot.
Definitely.
Yeah. So let's start the week off. What's the hot button issues this week?
Before we get started, I just want to go a little bit into the guy who's a bit of a lightning rod, and I know there's strong feelings about, which is Estevan Florial.
Yep.
I know the Yankees keep ignoring him, but I don't know how, right? The guy's hitting 311, 439 OBP, which is something that everyone has wanted to see from him, right? He's walking now. 1044 OPS, 9 home runs. 6 home runs the last 7 games, 3 straight games with home runs. You're looking at his walk rate is at 18.1%. I know the strikeouts are still there, and they might always be there, but I mean, how much longer can you continue to just ignore a guy who's making loud contact and lots of it?
I don't think you can. I got a stat about our production from left field this year. Out of everyone that we've gotten there, we've gotten a 187 batting average and a negative 0.3 WAR. And you have Florial, who is in AAA, hitting a 320 something
right now.
311. Yeah, he was up higher than that. If you knock 100 points off of what he's doing in AAA, that's still 30 points better, 40 points better than what we're getting. And we got to remember, this is a plus defender,
right?
This is not a guy who used to be an infielder and has learned the position like Bowers, IKF, all those guys.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't want to see the IKF and Bauer adventures in the outfield. No disrespect to Bowers. I like the guy. I like what he can do with offense. I'd like to see more of it, but it's an adventure when he's out there. I saw a play. I think it was Saturday, was it? Where he misplayed Severino's some fly ball during Severino's game. But I don't want to see that, especially when you already have a guy who can play defense. At the very least, he can give you defense and speed.
And an arm. He's got one of the better arms too. But think about that outfield defense. You put Flo in left field, you put Bader in center field, and you put Judge in right field. How many balls are really going to drop? That's 3 guys that are center field that can play center field legitimately. If nothing else, if you put Flo there, you're going to get elite defense, elite arm with elite game-changing speed on the bases. And I think he's going to surprise you with the bat. It's just, why not give him a look until Jasson Dominguez is ready?
I mean, for me, it's even shorter than that, right? I say, you know what? Let's give him a month. Just let's give him consistent playing time for, let's say, at least a month. Not this, you play today, you get 2 at-bats, you get pinch hit for, then you sit in the bench 2-3 days, then you get sent back down, then you called back up during a doubleheader to be an extra man. You just sit there for 2-3 days. You don't hit. They pinch hit for you. Then everybody's saying, he doesn't hit. He doesn't hit when he gets his chances. I mean, I'm looking at this, and this is a consistent argument that I see online. He's a quadruple A player. He's a quadruple A player. He never hits when he's called upon. But the funny thing is that these people typically just point to his 2022 numbers, right? They never look at his 2021 numbers where he hit 300. They never look at those numbers. And again, he's got what? I think he's got 56 at bats over a 4-year span.
54 over since 2020, and I think the biggest sample size was 29 at bats in 21 games. He's never gotten consistent playing time, and
nope. And the thing is, I'm not saying that he's a super prospect. He's going to be an all-star, nothing like that. All I'm saying is give it a shot. What do you got to lose? I don't want to see IKF in the outfield. It's an adventure. He's almost gotten people injured. I remember he ran into Bader. He almost ran into Hicks as well. So what do you have to lose?
Well, if he ran into Hit, he's gone. So that doesn't matter. So When do you think the Yankees are going to give him a shot, or do you think that they will?
Um, Based on past history, that means someone has to get hurt or another person has to get hurt. That's typically when they it's almost like you have to force their hand, right?
Yeah. I I I want him to get a shot so bad, even if he ends up as a fourth outfielder. He's a
Mhm.
great defender. He can steal bases. He's got power from the left-hand side. He makes and can play all three positions. He makes a lot of sense as a fourth outfielder.
Mhm. One thing I did want to bring up, which is typically kind of funny to me, is how people love to point at Florial's his K rate, right?
Uh-huh.
But and before I get this, let me just preface this by saying I love Spencer Jones. I think he makes a lot of loud contact. I think he's going to be a really good player. He has a K rate of 34%. He's striking out at a number that it kind of makes me go, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let him master this. But those same people who get on Florial are the same people that'll say Spencer needs to go to Somerset now.
Yeah.
Send Spencer up. Why?
A lack of understanding the deeper statistics in minor league baseball, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It baffles me that some people can't see the sample size that Florial's gotten and say he's never gotten a consistent chance. And the other thing with Flo, he does not adjust to levels quickly or without regular playing time.
Mm-hmm.
He needs 100 ABs to see what he can do.
Right. I mean, I thought he had a very good season last year. This season, to me, he's even better. I watched a lot of him last season,
So did
and
I.
from last season to this season, he is a much better player. He's walking at a much higher rate, which is improving his numbers all across the board.
Yeah. He's got an on base percentage in the 400s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just don't know what else you want to see from a player when you're getting such poor play in left field. I just don't
I
know.
I don't get it. What you already have what you have on the roster right now with what you're playing there is IKF and Bowers. It's defensively, it's not really working. There isn't really anything on the market right now. Why not try the internal option for a bit?
Right. He's 25 years old. You got to give him
Mm-hmm.
a shot or let him go. And
Right.
they need to give him a shot. And I think he would be an upgrade over what we've seen so far
Mm-hmm.
significantly. And he might be an asset to the team. Hey, if nothing else, maybe he improves his trade value. And at the deadline, you can get something for him where now he's not really worth anything.
I mean, I think at minimum he can be a fourth outfielder, right?
I do
If
too.
if you try him and it doesn't work out, he's a guy you can plug in. Nice left power from the left hand side, plays defense. He can run. That's at the very least you'll get from him.
Now we got to go into another overlooked stud prospect. Oswald Peraza has had a huge week in AAA.
He has. He was my pick for the prospect of the week. Yeah, definitely. A guy that already needs to be on this team. Which you already know means that there has to be a move made to open a job for him.
Yeah, there has to be a move made. I've been saying since you and I have been talking, I wanted to see
Mm-hmm.
Torres moved.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that way even more strongly than I did this winter. I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing the mental lapses on the bases and in the field. He's costing them runs. Peraza does not make those kind of mental errors.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I look at Glaber, I don't hate the guy. I'm not one of those people that
I,
hates him.
I'm not either.
Yeah, I thought he's a competent player. Yes, he has mental lapses here and there, but one of the reasons why I said, you know what, maybe it's time to trade Glaber is because he's the one player that I think has the most trade value on the roster, right? He's young, he's inexpensive, and he's done some things.
Yeah. And here's the ultimate question. Do the Yankees see themselves signing him long term? Torres is a young man. He's a good player. I don't see him getting anything less than qualifying offer money, and he's going to get probably 7 years at minimum. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think the Yankees are going to sign him for 7 140?
I doubt it. I very much doubt it because, as you know, there's just a glut of middle infielders in the system, right? Behind Glaber, you have Peraza. Behind him, you have Sweeney. You have you have Vargas as well. You have Roderick Arias coming up as well. There's a lot of guys
Jared
that they could probably.
Cerna,
Jared Turner's another one who's
even
at the lower
Carey,
levels.
even Caleb Durbin's making some big noise.
Durbin, Kiner Delgado. You have a lot of guys that are in the system that could easily replace him. I mean, I don't. When you have what two $30+ million guys on the roster, you need to look for places where you don't spend, and one of them would be with an internal option at second base. So I just can't see them giving him that kind of a deal.
Yeah. So the question becomes, when do you get the most moving him? It's probably not going to be this winter when he only has 1 year of control left.
Mm-hmm.
If you move him at the deadline, somebody gets him for 2 playoff runs. If you send him to a contender, we get more value back that way.
Right.
I don't know. That's just my thoughts on Torres. As you know, I'm a huge Oswald Peraza guy. I
Mm-hmm.
think that he is going to be a very, very good player. I love the swing. I wish he hit the ball more to right field, but he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've seen from him since going back to July last year, he's hit well over 300 at
Right.
AAA. Sometimes when you have a big time prospect repeat a level, it hurts their trade value.
Right.
So the Yankees need to be careful how long they leave him in AAA, because his trade value starts going down more and more and more. As silly as it sounds, the better he does repeating that level.
Mm-hmm. That's also one of the things that the Yankees do, right? Is that they have a prospect who's ready, but they just leave him on the shelf for a little bit too long and overcook him.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you have an Andujar situation or a Florial situation.
Yeah.
The iron is hot. Let's call him up, plug him in at second base, find a trade partner for Glaber, and just stop, messing around with Peraza, bringing him up and down, and just give him the shot.
Another guy I think is going to be put in the same boat as Peraza and Florial is Chaparro. I thought the Yankees had a perfect opportunity to bring him up and add his instant offense while G was out. And maybe they look to do it again when G inevitably gets hurt again. But with a lack of position for Chaparro, I mean, he really can't play third base at the major league level. He might be able to be passable at first base.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not even in the Yankees' top 30 prospects. What is the knock that makes him not be a top 30 prospect?
I think it's just his defense. I hate to knock the guy for it, but I think he's at 9 errors, made an error Sunday as well. But I'm definitely in agreement with you. I thought that while Stanton was out, he should have been playing DH. He should have been the primary DH for getting a 2-month audition, and let's see what he can do. He raked in spring training. He's been doing it for the past 30+ games. It was instant offense, an instant power back.
Yeah. Another name that's been going around, everybody's talking about Jasson Dominguez.
Mm-hmm.
His batting average is low. Everybody's saying that he's not responding.
I hadn't noticed.
Right. Everybody's saying he's not responding to the level well, that he's overmatched. But when you take a deeper dive into those stats, it kind of tells a different story. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, we briefly touched on this before. His balls in play was ridiculously low for him, right? I think it was at 200 points, where from where he typically was, it was around 150, something like that. He's usually up in the 350, 360. It has gone up over the last month by about 0.75%. So he's up at around 225 now. But it's still low for him. It's still about 125 points low. Maybe as the weather gets hot, he'll heat up a little bit more, but especially with Wells hitting behind him as well. But I think for him, it's just a matter of, those line drives that he's hitting, they just have to find a hole, right? The balls that he's hitting into the gap, they have to start dropping for him. And they did early on in the month. They did. So I think we'll see more of that. I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, it's frustrating to not see him hitting over what 250, 260, whatever it may be, but I am not too worried about it.
Right. I'm not worried about it at all because I've watched enough of the games this year. I'm watching
Hmm.
his swing decisions and how little they have been pitching to this guy,
Hmm.
especially before Wells got back. They are pitching around him like he is Aaron Judge last year.
Hmm.
The kid is, and if you look at the on base percentage, he's taking a ton of walks. He's walking
Right.
almost as much as he is striking out, which for a
Hmm.
power hitter that's the youngest kid in his league, that's
Hmm.
unbelievably impressive.
Yeah.
But here's a question that I have for you. And we have differed in the past on calling Dominguez up, what's rate, speed you want to get him up at. Do you think he needs more time in AAA or double A, or do you think a call to AAA is coming soon?
Well, I mean, we know that he's pretty much being pitched around. I would like to see a little bit more of him at Somerset, especially with Wells hitting behind him, because if Wells is hitting behind him, especially the way that he has been, you're not gonna be able to continue to pitch around Dominguez. You're gonna have to face him head on.
I get that. My thought is we have a big hole in left field that we don't think they're going to fill it by Florial.
Hmm.
Every time that we have seen Jasson been challenged, going back to the first Futures game when he hit a home run before he had played a game, he
Hmm.
performed on a big stage. His breakout party last year was a Futures game when he went deep right-handed, and he was struggling with his right hand swing then. And then when we saw him go to double A, we saw him tear a hole through the playoffs.
Right.
And then we've seen him at spring training where he looked legitimately at times like one of the best hitters on that team in camp.
Hmm. Hmm.
So he responds to being challenged. If he's not being challenged in double A, what is the point of not getting him up so he is challenged?
I mean that is definitely an interesting take, and I do agree with you because I remember when he was at Tampa, the thing that people were saying about him is, oh, he doesn't walk enough. He doesn't walk enough. So then
Mm-hmm.
he went into this phase where he started walking. He started honing in his discipline, and he got the walk rate at a much better level. Right, he got it to par, and now he has an above average eye, and it just continued on and on and on. And the same thing when he reached Hudson Valley. He wasn't hitting that much, but once he got to Hudson Valley, he made some adjustments, took off. He hit over 310 there as well. And we already know what he did at Somerset. And when he got there, he went to the playoffs, hit 450, 5 home runs, 10 RBIs. He went absolutely insane in those playoffs in the
Yeah.
championship.
And that's not the playoffs in double A isn't like it is in the major leagues where you have 3 or 4 rounds. It's a one
Hmm.
round deal. So he did
Yeah,
all that in one series
right.
to make it even more impressive.
Hmm.
Now in triple A, Will Warren got a bump this week.
Right.
I'm a big Will Warren guy. I think that he's going to be the next guy that ends up in our rotation from our farm system.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on Warren? Tell us about his first start in AAA, and we'll go from there.
Warren, what did he do? 6 innings, 4 strikeouts, 2 runs. There were 2 solo home runs. Really not phased by it much, which you like to see. That he didn't lose his composure. No walks, which is also a big plus. Um, I don't know if there's anything you can say about him. He looked really good. I can't wait to see his next time go out there. And maybe the Bronx is calling soon, especially
Yeah,
like we said, pitchers in the rotation drop left and right. It's possible we could see him sometime this year.
yeah, I think so. He's demonstrated really good command this year by adding that redone four seam or whatever he wants to call it at the top of the
Hmm.
zone. That and he adding
Right.
the velocity that gives him a premier top sprite. Geez, I can't talk.
Out pitch.
Yeah, premier out pitch. Thanks.
Hmm.
Premier out pitch. The cutter gives him another look to start the
Hmm.
count with. He's got a wicked slider. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think that the additive 2-3 ticks on the fastball has been tremendous for him. It jumped his K per nine from like 8 and change to over 11. So it's been
uh-huh.
tremendous for him. It's been
Yeah.
tremendous for him.
I think we could see him in the Bronx this year if
Yeah,
the
I agree with
pitchers
that.
drop. What do you think about having him break into the bullpen? He can pare down his pitch package from the 6 to 7 pitches that he throws
Mhm.
as a starter to 2 or 3 as a reliever. Do you think that he could help the bullpen? And do you think that the Yankees would put him in the bullpen if they needed the help?
Well, I think I saw this week that the Yankees have currently the best bullpen. So, I mean,
Yeah, but
adding a
they're
Will
burnt.
Warren, yeah, adding a Will Warren would definitely give them a fresh arm. I mean, I could see that the Yankees have done that a lot in the past.
I think it's a possibility in August when that bullpen is going to just be wiped if they don't
Hmm.
find a reliever on the trade market.
Well, Canley's coming back soon. I don't know when exactly he's scheduled to come back.
Yeah, he had his first rehab outing on
Yeah,
what was it,
he had
Friday or
two.
Saturday?
He pitched twice this weekend, I believe.
Okay. But still, one guy, Canley isn't going to make as much of a difference. We need multiple arms in that bullpen, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Hmm.
So the rest of
Well,
this weekend, okay?
one more guy at Scranton is Randy Vasquez.
Yes.
I know he started off rough, but looking over his last 5 games, he's pitching to a 2.67 ERA, 27 innings, 28 strikeouts, and he's already on the 40 man.
Yeah.
His strikeout, I mean his walks, he's honing them he's honing them in a bit more. I looked at his main numbers, 3 starts, he's only got 5 walks, set 16 innings, 17 strikeouts. So he is honing that in a little bit. So it's trending in the right direction.
Right. The problem with Vasquez is his pitches move so much that it's
Yeah.
hard to control him. I mean,
So does he.
yeah. Uh, Do you think he could be a piece out of the bullpen?
Definitely. I could definitely see him as a middle reliever guy, a guy that eats some innings.
Yeah. I with his off speed stuff as good as it is, I think you could put him in the bullpen for an inning or two if you needed
Mhm.
him to, and he would be very effective.
I think yeah, I could definitely see him as the guy who goes 1 inning, even 3 innings. I think Pete mentioned what a week a change ago, like a Ramiro Mendoza, right? He was a guy who came in, ate 2, 3 innings at times, and usually during crucial moments of the game.
Yeah, my only concern with Vasquez in that role is the command.
Mhm.
You want your
Yeah,
firemen to
sometimes
have a
when he's off the rails, he's off the rails, which can only pour gasoline on the fire. But when
yeah,
he's on.
he's just got to get it ironed out.
Hmm.
So who else did we have at AAA this week that stood out to you?
Well, Rodolfo Duran keeps doing his thing. I don't know what the Yankees are going to do with him, if they just see him as a piece to eventually let go or maybe move him later on. But 278, 316, 1149 OPS, 3 home runs this week.
I think I want to touch on the Yankees catching situation real quick because it
Hmm.
involves so many minor leaguers. Right
Yeah.
now, we have Rortvet, who has looked very good
Hmm.
in his rehab starts. He obviously has only had one game, but you can
Hmm.
see the baseball IQ. You can see how strong he is, how well he
Hmm.
hits,
And the energy he brings too.
and the energy he brings very much so. And the left hand bat, um,
Yes. Bonus.
big bonus. I think that probably is going to spell the end of Higgy. But
Hmm.
then you have guys like Duran in AAA,
Hmm.
Navarez, Josh
Hmm.
Bros rehabbing.
Hmm.
You have Wells. I mean, you've got a lot of major league caliber catchers
Hmm.
and no place to play them. And your number 2 prospect is also another catcher in Austin
Right.
Wells. So I think you got to thin that herd a little bit.
Hmm. Definitely agree with that. And don't forget Trevino's still there. I don't know what the Yankees are going to do with him. Um,
Oh,
but Rorvet did look good.
I think the best tandem at the big league level this year is going to be Trevino and Rortvet. You're not going to find too many better
I would
defensive
love that.
catchers.
I
Yeah,
would
so would I.
absolutely love to see that.
Yeah, but it's going to be this winter what they decide to do when it comes to Wells,
Hmm.
Higgy, or not Higgy, Trevino. I mean, who do they go with? I
Right.
I don't think it's out of the question they end up with Rortvet and Wells as their
Probably
catching team.
ultimately that's what they're going to end up with.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to touch on the Yankees catching situation because we're so deep in the farm system with catching. What
Mm-hmm.
else did we have at AAA? Anybody beside? I mean,
Florial, we briefly touched on him this week. He hit 429, 556 on base, 1699 OPS, 5 home runs, 7 RBIs, 6 walks.
yeah. What else do you want from the guy?
But
All
he
right.
strikes out.
Yeah, he strikes out too much. And he's not a converted infielder. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't forget that. I mean, you can't play Yankees left field for the Yankees if you haven't been an infielder at some point in your career lately. Good grief. Anyway, AA, where all the stars are.
Yeah, AA. I mean, the story this week was Estevan Florial hit 522, 1408 OPS, 2 home runs, and he's on a bit of a run. I think he hit 5 over like the last 7 games. I want to say something to that, but he's been really hot as of late.
Yeah, he has. I was talking to somebody, and they talk about how much he gets overlooked, and he does, being
He
with
does because of
Jones.
Jasson.
Yeah, Jones
Mm-hmm.
and Jasson in the system. What do you think the Yankees do with him?
I mean, I would like for them to keep him as long as possible because you never know. But as of right now, I would like for them to keep him. Because like I said, you just never know, right? You just
Right.
never know. You have these 3 guys right now in Jones, Jasson, and Everson, and both of them are looking like they can be potential major leaguers. Let's just keep it going for as long as we can.
Yeah. Austin Wells in AA. Wow.
I love that guy.
Wow. 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 Wow.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
He this week he hit 364, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs. I mean, I think if this once this guy reaches the Bronx, he's going to be a fan favorite really quick.
Yeah. I do too. I Derek mentioned on his show that somebody said that he had a swing like Kyle Schwarber, and I went back
Mm-hmm.
and looked at that. He really
Yeah, I could see
does.
that. I could see that. I saw him when I went to the Tampa game last week, and I was just in awe. I was like, "Holy shit, that's Austin Wells!"
Yeah, I think his bat's big league ready.
Absolutely.
It's just going to be how his arm. That's the only
Mm-hmm.
question with Austin Wells.
And that's just not something that's ever going to be fixed, right? He is who he is.
Yeah.
I mean, who does that remind? Victor Martinez. Victor Martinez.
Yes.
Remember Victor Martinez? The guy can rake, but he just didn't have an arm.
Well, my comp last winter for Austin Wells was Victor Martinez. That I
Mm-hmm.
thought that he could be a hybrid where he could
That's
play a
fine.
little outfield, a
Mm-hmm.
little first base, a little DH, and catch a
I
little bit.
I don't want to see him in the outfield. Whatever we can do to minimize his ability to be injured, I don't want to see them. I don't want any adventures in the outfield, either behind the plate or at first base or DHing. I don't want to see him, especially since he's a guy who's been on IL already in his early 20s a couple times. I don't want to see that happen.
That's fair, but the question becomes, how do you get him the most at bats?
Yeah, I mean DH, catching, maybe some first base. I mean, left field is definitely an experiment, kind of like the Schwarber thing. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, I personally would prefer they not go that route
I don't disagree.
because
I just
you definitely want his bat in the lineup somehow or somewhere.
Right. I just don't want him to get 400, only be able to get 450 at bats because he's only catching. I think that
Mm-hmm.
his bat is valuable enough in that lineup
Mm-hmm.
that it's worth getting him looks at other positions so he can play more.
Right.
But, um, AA, what else happened?
Um, I just have. What do you think about TJ Rumfield? Last week he hit 267, a home run, 3 RBIs, but he already has career high in home runs
Yeah,
in half the games that he played last year.
the power is definitely increased. He's a big, strong kid.
But that's the thing. He lacked the power. He just didn't have any power.
I,
I don't know how much you've seen of him, but his swing, well, last year, I'm not sure about this year, but it reminded me a little of John Olerud.
really?
Yeah.
I don't see John Olerud. I really don't know if I have a comp for him right off the top of my head. I think he's a good hitter.
Mm-hmm.
Being left-handed and first base and the size he is, I think he's always going to get opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that I see him at first base for the Yankees in the next 3 years. I don't know if he's that kind of prospect for me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's who do you see at first base for the Yankees down the line, 3 years from now, say?
Murakami.
Oh, that's the wish. That's the wish.
Well, you asked what I see, and in my head, I'm seeing Santa Claus drop him off
There you
sometime
go.
around Christmas 2025, and
With a 55, a number 55 jersey.
exactly. But if we don't end up with him, I think Austin Wells may end up there.
Mhm.
And that would help them with their catching situation, because then you could go Trevi, Rortvet behind the plate and have Wells
Mhm.
at first base and still have all those bats in defense.
That makes sense.
So,
Okay.
high A, we had some good pitching this week.
Absolutely. You had Drew Thorpe, to me, was the pitcher of the week. He went 6 in the third, shutouts, 8 strikeouts. He looked really good this week.
Yeah, he did.
Mhm.
Another guy at that level that we both really like, Chase Hampton, through the same day. It wasn't
Mhm.
his most dominant start. He didn't have his
Mhm.
best stuff, but he did exactly what you want to see a guy do in that situation, especially one that young. Is he
Mhm.
limited damage?
Yeah, just grind. It's easy to just let it get out of hand, but it didn't happen. Even, there was a lot of traffic on the bases with him, but he still managed 7 strikeouts, kept it to 2 earned runs. Um, I mean, he did what he did what he had to do.
And there's a good comparison between Thorpe and Hampton because they were both drafted last year as pitchers.
Hmm.
I've been getting quite a few questions about which one do I like better? Which one do you like better?
I like Chase. I like Chase Hampton a lot better. I mean, I don't want to say a lot better, but I like him better than Thorpe. I love his moxie on the mound. I love that fiery nature that he has within him, that emotion that he shows, and I love his ability to pump the fastball.
Yeah, I do too. I think Thorpe has, with that shorter arm motion, I see a little Shane Bieber in him.
Mm.
Not this, he's got the same kind of velocity, 92 to 95, that short arm action, the tighter breaking balls. If he can control 92 to 95, I think he's got a pretty high ceiling.
I mean, I could definitely see that. The guy just knows how to pitch. Especially when he pairs it with that changeup that he has, which is devastating. Yeah, yeah. This is a guy I definitely want to see a Somerset soon.
Yeah, for sure. So what else happened in high AA?
Juan Carrello also had a good game, 5 in the third, 6 strikeouts. I spoke to him about it after the game because I saw he hit 2 batters, and I said, I was like, yo, you almost knocked this guy's head off. And he goes, I couldn't control my two-seamer. And I don't know if you saw any of the game. It was so damn windy. Like his uniform, when I saw him on the mound, was whipping around him. He's like, I had no control of the two-seamer.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it happens. Another guy that I like, Danny Watson, reliever out of the bullpen, reliever. He went 3 and 2/3, 5 strikeouts, no runs. And the guy has been phenomenal this season.
Now he's part of this new Yankees pitching philosophy where they're actually drafting relievers and
Hmm.
developing them as relievers. I'm a
Hmm.
big fan of that developmental system. I think what you pay for relief pitching on the free agent market's silly,
Hmm.
but Bailey Dees is another one.
Jack Neely.
Jack Neely, that
Hmm.
have all shown promise. They're all big guys. Um, I think there's a future for those guys in the Bronx as relievers.
I mean, and the Yankees have done a really good job of pumping out relievers. I spoke to Carson Coleman sometime, I think it was earlier this year. And I asked him, why did he
before
pick the Yankees? Yeah,
before he
before I
went.
knew about the TJ. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I asked him, why did he pick the Yankees? And he basically told me that it was their ability to pump out relievers.
Yeah. Well, they do a really good job of it.
Mm-hmm.
What about Vargas? What kind of week did he have?
Not good. Not good. I mean, he's stuck in a slump. He has been for about 3 weeks now since he broke out earlier or late last month. Um, it's concerning.
A
It's
little
concerning
bit.
because I'm like, where did you go? What happened? You were locked in. All of a sudden, you seem to have lost it again. And right now, he just looks lost.
Yeah. Did you see the article in the Athletic? Jim Bowden came out and said that Vargas has been a breakout prospect for the Yankees, and that he gives them another very, very high ceiling middle infielder.
I mean, you know how I feel about that, right?
Yeah.
Having a high ceiling is fine and dandy. I'm all for that, but show me what you got, right? It doesn't matter if you have all the ability in the world. If it's not translating onto the field, that means nothing to me.
Right.
Vargas is a guy who has 4, maybe 5 tools. The power tools seem to have been coming in. And I don't know. He looks like he's hit another wall, which is the same thing that happened to him at Tampa, except for last year when he hit that wall in Tampa, he got stuck behind the wall. He did
Yeah.
nothing to get past. He did nothing to get over that wall or go through it. And I'm kind of seeing the same pattern emerging here, where I'm seeing Ben Cole's playing a lot shortstop a lot more, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? This is supposed to be a top prospect. Pay him like $2 million signing bonus, get him onto the field.
We'll see what happens.
And that brings me to Antonio Gomez.
Oh
Currently hitting 208,
man.
K rate at about 39%. I don't know where he's going with this. He started off really well, and
Yes,
another guy that just seems to have hit the wall, and he doesn't seem to know what to do next.
If there were 2 guys in the system that needed to break out this year, it was Vargas and Gomes.
Absolutely.
Those 2 needed to show that they could hit, and they started off good. It's just,
and another thing that's surprising to me about Gomez is he hasn't been that good on defense. He has a lot of errors, a lot of pass balls, which has been surprising because I'm like, this is your calling card.
Yeah.
This is what you have a rep for. What's going on here?
I don't know how he could struggle. He's so talented defensively that speaks more to me anyway as mental mind lapses more than a lack of skill. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. He's been so good in the past. I want him to work out because of his talent defensively. But if he doesn't get it going, we've got guys coming behind him. And as we've already talked.
I mean, just even in Hudson Valley itself, I mean, Rafael Flores is eating up some of his playing time.
Yeah, and he's hitting.
Because Flores is hitting. Yeah. Last week he hit 333. I think he's well over 300 right now. I mean, for a guy that just skipped over Tampa.
Yeah, OPS
724.
Yeah.
Well, last week.
Yeah. And then you have Ramirez in Tampa who's starting to come alive.
Right.
He's got to make a move or he's going to get looked over and probably DFA'd.
Yeah, he definitely needs to do something. Like I said, he started off really well. I thought he was taking the step forward that he needed to take in order to get back onto the top 30 list, but he just seems to have hit a wall and nothing is happening. Not much of anything is happening for him right now.
Okay, let's jump to Tampa.
Tampa. Anthony Hall was a player of the week for me down there. He hit 400, 538, 1338 OPS, a home run, 4 RBIs. He's playing a tremendous baseball right now.
Yeah, I really like Hall. He doesn't have a ceiling like Jones. I know that some people compare him to Jones since they were just drafted last year. They're both really good outfielders, left-handed. I think Hall has a solid ceiling. I think that he can be an everyday outfielder for somebody if the contact stays more consistent.
Right.
And he's got speed. He's had exit velocities of 115 plus, I think I read.
I saw like 109, but I mean, the way he's hitting right now, you know, he looks really good right now.
What's going on with Jared Cerna?
Cerna had another good week. Well, he had a bounce back week, I should say, because he was down last week. His average wasn't up, but he did hit the home runs. This week he's back at 348, 400, another 3 home runs, and the guy just keeps chugging along.
Yeah.
Which leads me to what I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
So he's pretty much tearing through this league right now.
Yep.
How long before he gets to Hudson Valley? Because I'm looking at Hudson Valley and I'm like, Hudson Valley doesn't really have a second baseman right now, right? They're playing Luis Santos, 225. They're playing, well, they just sent down Eduardo Torrealba, hitting 220. And Ben Coles, who's been playing second base, shortstop, third base, is hitting 268. How long can Cerna stay at Tampa?
June 1st. I think he's got to go up in the first round of call-ups. I mean, if there's anybody at that level that has earned a call-up, it's Cerna.
Absolutely.
Well, there's Medina has been really good for them too.
He's been consistent. He's been their most consistent player.
He has, but I think Cerna gets a bump next month, pretty early into the month. I think he ends up at second base long term. For some reason, if the Torres Peraza situation doesn't go as we think, I think Cerna might be the next guy in line when Torres's contract is up. That he could be our second baseman. I mean, that hit tool.
I mean, I could see that. Yeah,
that hit tool for Cerna is just through the roof. Like we've talked about before, he strikes out way less than he walks.
Yes. Lots of contact from him.
Yeah. And I know that they're having him play a little second or shortstop and third base, but I think his best position is second base.
I 100% agree with you. I actually looked at that, and I think he has 6 errors, I want to say, this season, and I think 4 of them have come from at shortstop.
Yeah, he just doesn't move well enough for a shortstop, especially when you have guys like Arias coming, all the
Arias, Delgado, Tejada's coming too.
Yeah. So anybody else at high A you want to touch on?
Augustin Ramirez seems to be heating up.
Sorry, not high A.
Single A, sorry, single A.
Yes, that's what I meant. So
Augustin Ramirez is heating up, 316, hit a home run, 4 RBIs. I really like this guy. We've spoken about him before. He kind of reminds some people of Gary Sanchez because of the bat, but a little bit better defensively.
I like him too. And from what I've been told, pitchers really like throwing to him. He does a good job handling his staff. And he's got a big arm.
Yes.
So
yeah, this is a guy that I'm definitely excited about, especially if he continues to keep going about his business. He's another guy that you could see coming up to Hudson and adding to that mix, right? By the way, Ben Rice is out. I forgot about that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Guy there. Yeah, he's been on the IL.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he's been on IL for like 2 weeks now.
Oh, okay. What do you think his future's like?
I don't know, but I know the guy can hit and get on base.
Yeah. But what position does he play?
Probably first base. Probably first baseman, DH.
Yeah, you don't see him as a catcher.
I don't know, but not because of his lack of ability, just because of the glut of catching prospects within the system.
Yeah, got you. Okay, Carlos. Let's talk about what we have coming up and go from there. So, where can we find you? What can we see from you on a regular basis?
My Instagram is Yankees Farm, pumping out prospect content every day. Also on YouTube as well, on Twitter also, just pumping out content every single day. If there's a game being played, if someone's hot, you're going to hear about it from me.
Yeah, you are. Now, when the DSL and FCL starts, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys that I'm really excited about, especially Brando. Can't wait to see that kid. Jerson as well is another one. Gabriel Lara. At FCL, you have Roderick, you have Kiner, you have Emmanuel Tejeda, just a bunch of younger kids down in those rookie leagues.
And we're going to have some of those kids on that you've talked to, hopefully.
Yeah, I talked to Serna, Jared Serna. He said he might be willing to come on. I'm waiting for an answer from like Juan Carella, and a few other guys that I know that I could ask.
That would be incredible. And then we are going to start preparing our top 30 prospect list. We're going to have that coming soon. We're going to have an international free agency show. We have a good friend of ours, Nick, to come on, who has been right for years and years and years and years. He's never missed. And break down.
Let me just say real quick, it's amazing how he has been on the money on a lot of these IFAs. There's times where I look and I feel like, oh, I didn't even know the Yankees signed this guy. And you'll go back and see 2 years ago, he was talking about the guy.
Yeah, it's unreal how good his information is. And there is a big time prospect that we have a agreement with that people are going to be really excited to hear about in that show.
Definitely.
So, well, Los, it's incredible having you on. I love doing this with you, bud. Guys, first show. I know there's some hiccups, but we're so happy to be here. And I hope you'll come check us out next time. See you later.